the senator from Ohio for Ohio. So it's very clear I'm the only one talking about Ohio. I think they're spending a lot of time campaigning to win President Trump's endorsement. And I think they're doing it at the expense of the issues that are facing Ohioans each and every day. You know, I mean, I'm going to, if he wants to endorse me, he's endorsing me because he understands I'm the one that's put in Republican principles similar to what he did. But my focus isn't on getting his endorsement. My focus is on winning this race for Ohio.
Senator Dolan, do you think if President Trump was to endorse one of your other candidates, do you think that would hurt your chances of getting elected Senator of the state of Ohio?
I do not. I think it would obviously hurt other people's chances because I think tonight I made it very clear. I am for Ohio. I am fighting for what matters to Ohio. I have the conservative experience and I want to go to Washington to stop the Biden administration and to set forth real agendas that will help Republicans take control and get our country back. So, no, I think right now people understand I'm going to go and fight for them.
You've spoken forcefully about kind of putting 2020 behind us and rearview mirror, looking for it, kind of reference that right now.
Did you say 2020? Is that?
Yeah, putting 2020
Yeah, okay.
Right. But what do you make of the fact that so many people, even tonight, were applauding at the idea that the election was stolen? How do you win a primary election when so many people in your party seem intent on not putting down the rearview mirror?
Well, that's a judgment whether it's so many. I mean, I've been traveling all over the state, and when I talk to people, they are literally talking about kitchen table issues. It costs more to feed my family. It costs more to fill up our gas tank. And they recognize that we better send somebody who's going to stop the Biden administration. I do think people want to look forward now. You know, President Trump did a lot of good things as a Republican president. No one is disputing that. But let's now look forward. And if you go to Washington, I mean, I think Mike Gibbons said he's going to Washington to look for evidence. I mean, he should not run for the U.S. Senate then, and hire a lawyer and go to court if he thinks there's something to show. The next U.S. Senator for Ohio better stand up and stop the agenda and look forward and put conservative principles into place.
Speaking of kitchen sink issues, what are your thoughts on the student debt crisis?
So there is a student debt crisis, and it's partly our fault because what we have said to every student, the only path to success is that you go on to college. And I think we need to recognize that there are multiple ways for a successful life: skilled trades, skilled manufacturing, certificates. And in Ohio, we've done an awesome job. Industrial credentials, IMAP, Tech Cred, to be able to widen that expansion. I want to go to Washington and expand the Pell Grant, because right now, if you're a student and the only help you can get for room and board and transportation is the Pell Grant, you have to go on to school to get that. Well, how about that young man or woman who wants to become a welder? And he's told that there's a $660 equipment fee up front. Well, that might as well be $600,000 for some folks. So we need to have the Pell Grant be able to apply no matter what route you take to further your career.
Senator Dolan, you mentioned conservative issues, or conservative values, I should say, a couple times just to us. But one of your competitors during the debate sent a press release calling you a Democrat. You yourself have stood proudly on the opposing side of certain issues from your competitors. Without listing out all of your conservative bona fides, what do you say to voters for questioning your values?
Well, they're wrong. I mean, I'm very consistent in my votes. The Constitution is a sacred document. If you're faced with a bill that is violating the Constitution, you don't vote for it. I have a variety of career. I have been a prosecutor. I've sat across the table from victims of gun violence. I know that victims, the families of the gun violence, I know they want the jury to hear all the facts in a particular case. So I bring to it a level of experience. I bring to that I focus on what the Constitution allows us to do, and I vote what I think is in the best interest of all Ohioans. You know, fortunately, most of those votes allow for me to put conservative agenda forward. But if I think it's better for Ohio, and I'm not sworn to my party. I'm sworn to the people of Ohio.
Do you believe you can still be a conservative today if you don't believe that 2020 is stolen?
I don't understand why that's on the political ideological spectrum at all. You know, I am conservative because I believe in limited government. I'm conservative because I believe the Constitution directs us. I'm conservative because low taxes, less regulation. I can do that and look forward. Looking back is serving an agenda that's different than anything political or policy.
Mr. Dolan, very few candidates on the Ohio outside of me are going to Southeast Ohio. Why should people from Appalachian be able to enter your race?
Because I've made my way to Southeast Ohio, not just as a candidate. Talk to the Appalachian Foundation, see who's come down and met with them repeatedly, to learn what's important to them. Recognize that the budget we just did put broadband as part of Appalachian. Education, economy, school, or healthcare. That's what broadband does. I'm the only one that was up on that stage that's willing to say to Appalachian, look, I get it, you need broadband. Talk to them about the Rural Development Highway, who fought for them down there. So I think if you go into Appalachian, you understand that the issues that we're all facing similar issues, but there's uniqueness in each issue. And the uniqueness to Appalachian is that we've got to make sure that we never ever again have students, we don't want them out of school, but if they are, they don't have to go to McDonald's at midnight, sit in the parking lot, to do their school. Thank you.
So how do you plan to work with, if you win, how do you plan to work with other members in your party if there is this fundamental disagreement on the 2020 election? I know we're sick of answering questions about that, but it's surely a huge roadblock for you if you want to get stuff done, creating your agenda.
Well, I'm going to Washington to get stuff done, and if you'll know who's just on Fox News just talking about 2020, and I would hope by that time the American people will be saying, no, we need to get things done. I believe there's a lot of folks in the U.S. Senate right now that want to focus on an agenda different than what's happening to America today, and they'll look to a guy like me and say, boy, that guy's got the experience, that guy's got results. I want to work with him to get those same results put in for our country. And look, if you're going to continue to fight the past, you're going to be ostracized at some point.
Senator Dolan, you talked about Americans are facing pain at the pump. Would you support suspending the Ohio gas tax temporarily over the next 5 years?
No, for several reasons. One, the way to ease the pain at the pump is to go back to what Donald Trump is doing, as make America energy independent. Go and tell Toledo, those folks up in Toledo, yeah, we're going to get you back to work. Because a gas refinery not only is environmentally sound, but it drives up the supply. I don't understand, President Biden understands supply. Drive up the supply, make it American generated, and the price of gas will go down. The gimmicks don't work. And you also have to understand, communities all over this state are relying on the money that the Constitution of Ohio requires. So only gas tax money goes for roads and bridges. It's pretty clear. They have to bond those out. They bond them at certain interest rates. They bond them for a particular period of time. We want them to be efficient and effective in how they spend their money. You all of a sudden disrupt their bonding process, and you got chaos. And no roads are finished.
Senator Dolan, hi, Norman China, Cleveland. Last week, we heard from a state representative that said that we should be teaching the Holocaust from both sides. You represent the Jewish community in Northeast Ohio, the largest percentage of Jewish people in the state. What do you have to say to that?
That's crazy. There's not two sides to the Holocaust. That's crazy.
We have time for like 2 more questions.
The passage of Ohio Senate Bill 215 allows anyone over the age of 21 to conceal and carry without a permit. Police across the state are against it. Do you think this legislation goes too far?
So I think the as-introduced legislation went too far. That's why I work with police to make significant changes to that bill. That is, the idea that if you don't inform a law enforcement officer that you have a gun and you, under the as-introduced, it was a minor misdemeanor, I got it to a second degree misdemeanor. So there's real penalty to it. The idea that if you use that gun, you're immediately provided immunity from the results of that shooting, that was going too far. So if you notice in the final version of that bill, it wasn't in there. When you negotiate a bill, you negotiate in good faith. I got those out, and I do believe there was an inconsistency in the law. We have open carry in Ohio. So if I'm walking around with it on my head in plain eye, I'm not violating the law. Prior to this bill passing, I put my jacket on, I'm violating the law. I think there's inconsistency. I also think the other states that did this, you did not see an increase in gun violence. You do have an increase in gun violence, but it's not a result of going to permanent security.
We have one last question.
In public education, and certainly in Ohio, they preach equality of outcome, but what they really want, they preach equality of opportunity, but what they really want is equality of outcome. Do you believe in meritocracy, or are you for random selection, for positions at vocational schools, for example?
Look, I am for equal opportunity. Equality results are really going to destroy this country. I also want to be very clear here that I'm not going to Washington to federalize the education system. These are decisions that are best left locally, school boards, state departments of education. So there are a lot of things happening in schools that I do not agree with. But if you go to Washington and federalize it and put a one-size-fits-all plan for every state, that is a slippery slope that I do not want to get on. The 10th Amendment makes it very clear. Those powers not enumerated in the Constitution are left to the states. There is no mention of education in the United States Constitution.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.